Hey guys, Cinder Ash here, and I just want to welcome you to my Dark Souls review. You know what? I never really liked Dark Souls 1 that much. Hey guys, Cinder Ash here, and welcome to my Dark Souls 2 review. You know what? I never really liked the meta in Dark Souls 2. I never really liked the Avacyn bow. Let's just skip Dark Souls 2. Hey guys, Cinder Ash here, and welcome to my Dark Souls 3 review. Okay, I really don't know why they had to make Dancer way faster. I like the 1.2 version in Dark Souls better. You know, where they slowed Dancer down a little bit. But hey, it's okay. It's okay. You know why? Because we're gonna pick up the most goated one right here. Hey guys, Cinder Ash here, and welcome to my Bloodborne review. Okay. I mean that's fair. Orphan Akos really needed a horse. He was way too slow in Bloodborne. This really brought him up to speed, but I think I'm just gonna skip it at this point. Hey guys, Cinder Ash here, and welcome to my Elden Ring review. Man, I fucking hate this game. I hate everything about it. There's never a goddamn good thing in any of the Dark Souls games. I'm sick of this shit. Oh.
I promise you.
Well, thank you for the hug, Radon. Fuck, you just saved me from losing my shit over this goddamn game. With that out of the way, obviously, if you haven't been listening, my name is Cinder Ash. And when it comes to this DLC, as a massive fanboy that I am of all the Souls games, and I've been playing since Demon's Souls on the PlayStation 3, I have to say that this DLC is pretty mid. Now, before you click off, please, just listen, and hopefully you can understand where I'm coming from, and then maybe you might agree, you might disagree, but hear me out. We have been waiting for this DLC for a long time, and to call it a DLC is even an understatement in and of itself. It's more uncomparable to an expansion like you would have for WoW. It's massive map. A lot of it is reused assets, but it's still a massive map. A lot of new stuff in it. Kind of. A lot of the bosses are rehashed. They're recolors, they're reskins. Like, all the dragon fights are the exact same, except for Bale. A lot of the other bosses are incredibly similar to bosses that we fought before. The Dancing Lions, if you pay attention, they kind of fight very similar to an ulcerated tree spirit. And it's meh. It really is. And then, of course, you got the end with Radahn, and his fight's incredibly difficult. More on that later. But it's nothing special. It really isn't. I thought when I would get into the DLC that I would be experiencing some of the best fights that any of the Souls games would ever have to offer. And a lot of it was just the same rehashed stuff of dragons. You just get on horseback, hit it, wait till it topples over, get a critical hit, or do some spinning blades, whatever meta crap you're playing, and then just go from there. The next bit that I thought would be more fun would be some of the weapons. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of the weapon types are actually fun. Hand-to-hand, absolutely well done, perfected. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually brought on the guy who did the mods for the monk styles before we got the DLC, and asked him what would be good, how to do it, how to go about it, and they actually implemented it because it's just that good. Same with the light great swords. Those are amazing. They are a great mix of having a strength weapon but with dexterity kind of quickness. And some of the colossal weapons are even okay to an extent, but one that fell incredibly short that I was really, really sad about were the great katana weapon classes. There's only 3 that I have found in the entire DLC, and if there's ever more found, then, you know, egg on my face, but all 3 of them were incredibly underwhelming. All 3 were just really, really kind of boring and depressing to use, and they just didn't feel as strong as like the light great swords or anything else. And I think they're more for aesthetic use than anything else. Getting into the core mechanics of how you're supposed to play the DLC with the Erdtree fragments and the Rever dashes, they don't make you feel strong at all. Throughout my entire thing, I was pumping in Erdtree fragments. I was finding all of them. I was watching the review guide. I was reading through it. I was like, okay, I'm going to get as strong as I can, crush through everything, and feel really good about it. And no, there was no power fantasy at all throughout that entire DLC. There was no feeling of like, oh man, I just absolutely crushed this boss. Feels good. No, a lot of it felt like a slog. A lot of it felt like, okay, they're going to do this 10 attack combo. I can get 2 hits in, and then I got to back away because they're going to go for a 12 hit combo with some magic slashes. And okay, cool. I'm dead. Let's go repeat the process until I get them low enough and then just keep going. And I felt awful the entire playthrough. I didn't feel like I was strong enough. I was switching between meta builds to try to get through certain characters, through certain enemies, and nothing really felt like it clicked in the DLC. And I eventually just ended up going back to a really old meta build with the Bloodhound Fang to just kind of clear a lot of the enemies out. The locations, though, are probably one of the best in all of Elden Ring. The DLC location / expansion area is just absolutely gorgeous. Sure, when you first start in, it's really bleak, really kind of grim looking, kind of disgusting, to be honest. It's all a bunch of grays, it's a bunch of blacks, nothing impressive. But you start to go through a bunch of the other areas, and eventually you'll come across like the Cerulean Coast or the Hinterlands, and these places are just beautiful. They are just vibrant colors, everything is just kind of popping, and it really makes you just enjoy it. And I feel like a lot of the photo nerds are going to go crazy in those areas, you know, using the different ashes of war that we get, using all the new weapon types, all that kind of stuff. And they're going to absolutely make some beautiful artwork that we'll look at and be like, damn, I want to do that. But for me, I'm not that kind of person, but I can admit that when something is absolutely beautiful, I will call it out and just say it flat out. The NPC quest lines, they're also just kind of meh. It boils down to the same thing that it always does. You're gonna do all their quest lines. It's gonna end in betrayal. It's gonna end in depression. It's gonna end with people dying, and there's nothing you can do about it. I honestly wish there was, but it always ends in betrayal. The main boss of the DLC I thought was gonna be significantly harder than it was. We get hyped up about Mesmer. He's supposed to be this like serpent, god, dragon, demon man who is just absolutely going to destroy everybody. And honestly, it was kind of just an L. I think he was the least hardest boss that I fought in the entire DLC. And his kit looks incredibly unique. It looks great. Visually stunning. But he was bad. And I feel like he should have been one of the harder ones. But no, we get a fucking hippo that can one-shot eat you on New Game Plus if you accidentally roll a frame too early. Well, whatever. But let's talk about the two good bosses, the ones that are going to be the ones that are memorable for people as either becoming their new top 1 and top 2 hardest bosses of all time, or they're going to be bosses that nobody will ever actually beat legitimately, but will claim online that they did, and do all that kind of crazy stuff. We got Radon with Mikola, who is just beyond crazy. It took me 3 tries to beat Melania. It took me 185 to beat this guy. He is ridiculous, absolutely crazy, absolutely crushing. And Bale took me 2 tries, but he's on comparable status with Midir. It's a lot of you just dodge stuff, hit the face, and pray. And then you'll be alright, honestly. But he's still an incredibly fun dragon fight. Most of the dragon fights are. And sadly, during testing phase for the press release for a lot of these people, I could not get Igon's questline to be functional. So they are going to implement a patch day 1. You guys won't even know about that. Or known that was an issue, unless you heard it here. So overall, I would honestly just give this DLC a 6. I know that seems really low, but I'm being incredibly generous, and a lot of my ranking is actually coming from the weapons and just the landscape and the art design. The bosses, except, for 3, which is going to be the Orphan Cost wannabe, Bale, and Ragan, are meh. It's not that great. Sure, there's a lot of references to the old games, and you would think that'd be like, oh man, that's so nostalgic. I'm so happy they put that in, but like, do any of you really care about the Dancer meta with the Dancer boss from Dark Souls 3? Do any of you really care about the Pot's backstory, about how they become a thing? And I know some of you will, because a lot of you love the Vadi video lores. But to me, it's just kind of like, okay, there's just more pot enemies. Do you guys really care about the old Dark Souls 2 meta with the greatsword and the bow? Do you guys want that to be a thing again? Because I don't. And I hope it's not becoming a thing again in the Elden Ring DLC. And I really don't like a lot of the thought behind the DLC. It feels very rushed. It feels like how Dark Souls 2 was without Miyazaki's guidance. It feels kind of sloppy and thrown together, and sure, there's cool new stuff, but I feel like I'm a 5-year-old and it's a toy at the shop. I have ones like it at home, and it's shiny and it's great because it's new, but at the end of the day, I'm probably gonna play with it a little bit and then shelve it and be like, oh, that was cool, and then go back to something that I actually liked a little bit more, like base game Elden Ring, or wait for a Bloodborne remake to be made and put it on PC and be able to enjoy that again. Because, you know, there's apparently spoiler leaks about that happening. Or, you know, I'll go back to Ghost of Tsushima, or I'll just find something else to play. I don't think the DLC is going to hold a lot of people coming back to Elden Ring, and I think the hype building up to Elden Ring DLC is kind of what's fueling its comeback. It's not really going to be a staple as much as people want it to be anymore. Well, if you guys made it to the end, I would appreciate you guys dropping a sub, a like, or a dislike if you dislike the video. You know, it helps me actually understand where a lot of you guys' thoughts and feelings are, and I hope you comment down below if you agree or if you disagree, so I can actually see what you guys feel, see what you guys think, so that way I can see it from a different position. You guys take care, stay awesome. Bye, guys.